What's up guys and welcome back. Today in this video we're going to be reviewing Channel Zero Season 3 Butcher's Block Episode 2 titled Father Time. Okay, originally I wasn't going to film this video today, I just wasn't in the mood for it. I was really tired after work, but I decided fuck it, I'm going to get it out there so you guys can see it. I'm going to try my hardest not to explain the entire episode because I felt like I did that in the last one, so I'm going to try and make it a little bit shorter, more concise about my feelings about certain things rather than just explaining the entire plot. So the very first scene of the episode is it's an advertisement. It looks like something from the 50s, like one of those weird commercials that you see in Fallout with like a happy family. Except for this one looks like it's all about the food chain and cannibalism. They're talking about eating the meats and how the people have to eat rats and stuff in the street because it's part of the food chain and someone's higher up, which I think is going to be a big plot device in this season. It's going to be something to do with the cannibals, about people maybe eating other people just to survive because the business is going downhill. Peach's business maybe wasn't making enough money, it was going to shut down, so maybe they started turning to cannibalism. That's something that I could see happening. We get a scene with Alice and Zoe in a flashback. Alice's room is all pink and very girly, and then Zoe has a pet centipede running around the room. That's one weird creature to have as a pet. Some people might like that, but I would not want that thing escaping around my room at night. Alice gets a phone call, and it's from, it looks like a loan company, or maybe even the college she's at, saying that she needs to pay her student loans, so she's on the run from that. So maybe that's going to play a bigger part into the story. Maybe she has a ulterior motive for why she's escaped. She's not really there for the job, she's there to escape something that she's done in the past. Maybe it's the debt loan, maybe it's something more serious. Talking to the landlady, I can't remember her name, we get a little bit more information on Joseph Peach. Apparently that the police and all the adults in the town were going round to his house for some reason because he was up to all this weird cult stuff, which sounds awesome to me. I love a bit of cultist theming in my shows. And we find out that Joseph's daughters were actually murdered as well. We don't really know what happened to them or who killed them or how they died, but we know that it was probably something that started a chain of events with Joseph. I was going to say Joseph Fritzl, then Joseph Peach, and how he started doing whatever he's doing in that stairwell with these creatures and the family and the dwarfs and stuff. So maybe that was a turning point. Maybe he's on like a revenge mission, or maybe he just changed his moral compass after what happened to his daughter. They also say that the cops and the people who assaulted his house, they found something in the basement. They didn't really mention what it was. I'm probably going to assume it's something to do with like experiments, or it's possibly something to do with the staircase. Maybe they opened up like a parallel dimension or something, which is something I'll probably get onto in a little bit. So while Alice and the landlady are in the woods, they spot the guy in the suit, mysterious guy in the suit, coming down the staircase, and he's holding hands with one of the little dwarf things. If someone has a better word for me to use in these videos for those things, so I don't like insult anyone who's watching these videos, then let me know. And we don't get a glimpse of this guy for a little bit, but we do later in the episode. And when the first time I saw him, the first thing that I came to mind was that he does kind of look like Rutger Hauer. So maybe I was thinking he was maybe a younger version of him, because it seems like there might be some time travel going on here. Obviously the guy's 130 years old, maybe he can time travel, or maybe the passageway leads to a different time, something like we've seen in Netflix's Dark. So originally I thought it was probably going to be a younger version of Joseph, but it actually turned out to be his son Robert, I think, and he was one of the best parts of this episode. He was just charismatic as hell while being creepy as hell as well. One thing I noticed was Alice was looking at the staircase, she was really close to it, and then as the staircase started to disappear, she got like a pain in her head, so I'm not sure how that's connected. Maybe that has something to do with the end part of the episode, which I'll get to in just a second. So after this, Alice, she wakes up and she's in bed, and she starts hearing Joseph's voice, and she has a vision. This episode has a lot of little subliminal messages of like things popping up, like Captain Spaulding from The Exorcist. We had like this weird looking wolf beast thing showed up with Joseph, and then this, it might have been the same thing, but it was something creepy anyway, and that showed up in Alice, and I think it showed up for Zoe as well, so maybe they're all connected in some way. Joseph says that it's a higher power, so my thoughts on this is somehow Joseph might have come into contact with some higher power, like a demon or something, and he's maybe sacrificing kids for this demon for some reason. So the cop, I'm not sure what his name is, but his dad is the police chief, and we think he talks about his dad was probably the chief, or was probably one of the policemen who raided Joseph's house back in the day, just because of the age of the guy really, and he was probably in the town at that same point. So perhaps we've got some kind of revenge thing going on there. Maybe his dad was one of the people who broke into Joseph's house or had something to do with the deaths. So I guess we'll find out what's going to happen with that storyline. Now, visually, one of the best parts of the episode was definitely when we got a glimpse of the monster from the first episode, the fleshy cow thing being. It looked a lot cooler in this episode. It looked a lot more fleshy and bloody. It looked like the thing from Hellraiser. I can't remember the guy's name, but basically the skinned guy in Hellraiser. And we got to see it sitting around like a pentagram in the ground, and it had the girl Izzy in the middle, and he was crunching up bones, making paste out of them and rubbing it. So he's obviously doing some kind of ritual. So this brings a little bit more into the theory that they're sacrificing the children, or they're doing it for a higher power, maybe so they can stay alive for longer, or maybe so they can travel through time, or whatever is happening with the stairwell. So yeah, visually that was really awesome. That's one of the best things of the episode for me, especially we got a top-down view of it around the circle, and you just saw this monster doing these weird ritualistic things. But yeah, I love that. This is one of the best things about this season, I think, is the cinematography and the imagery. It's a lot like something you see in Hannibal. So the next scene was very random and really funny, actually. We got to see the crazy scissor ladies in the junkyard, and she's playing with dolls. She's trying to like chop the hair off and stuff. I thought it was really funny for some reason. And she gets chased through the junkyard by the mysterious man in the suit, and he just pulls out a taser and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna shock you with this. And then cuts to the scene of the police officer in the car, and the scissor lady runs over, and this guy gives no fucks about there being police officers there. He just tasers it on the car. I thought that was really funny, and it gave like an image of what this guy is like. He just doesn't really care, which I'll talk about later as well, because there's certain scenes in the music it just paints a really great picture of who Robert Peach is. Another really funny scene was literally like a little cameo. The guy had maybe 20 seconds overall in the episode, but so Joseph's son Robert gets taken to the prison cell after tasing the woman, and we go past this one cell, and there's just this guy who's like the stereotypical devil worshipper, and he's just got his arms up, and it says something like the devil does whore, the woman's a whore, and it was so brief. I just found it really hilarious. Kind of reminded me of Andrew WK, if anyone knows who that is. So we find out that the illness that Zoe is harbouring is actually schizophrenia. I wasn't too sure what it was going to be, some neurosis or something like that, and so we find out it's schizophrenia. So that opens up a lot of possibilities for theories about what's happening with the characters. She appears back at the house after disappearing in the end of the last one, after seeing Joey or Joseph, and she says she's been cured. Joseph's cured her. And obviously things aren't always that plain and simple, so maybe there's some kind of side effect to whatever he's done to her. We find out what he does later in the episode, which was a very cool part of the episode. Very violent and gory and gross, but I loved it. Back in the prison, Robert gets put in a cell with another man, and like a generic prison cell scene, you'd expect to be some conflict. And Robert does not care at all that this guy's going to beat him up or whatever. He's crunching his bones. He's basically bringing on the guy to fight him. Obviously we know this guy has some weird powers, or he's a psychopath, so we know he's going to be doing something strange. He actually refers to him as calories, which I thought was awesome. He just sees him as a piece of meat, which gives him this like off-world feeling that this guy is not human. He does not feel human at all. He's seen things, he's done things, and these are just bags of meat to him. So next up, which was one of the really cool scenes as well, when the police officer re-enters the police cell, he's walking past, and the devil worshipper guy's just sitting in the corner like, nope, fuck that. And then he carries on to the cell where Robert is and the man, and we can hear these awful noises of like chewing and grinding and just slopping around, and we just see this splat of blood hit the floor, and it was such a good shot. The blood looked really like real to me, I thought, and the way it was like textured and slapped on the floor, it was just like such a great shot. And then the next scene, I think the music's what made it so weird. I'll talk about the music later with Robert, but he has this really weird like upbeat, I don't even know how to explain this type of music, but it's not horror at all. It's like jazzy, and this mixed with the scene of Robert basically eating this man. He's got his hands inside his rib cage and he's pulling out meat and just chewing on it, and it was so bizarre. But this is the kind of thing I like to see in this show because it's horror and it doesn't hold back. Robert is basically insulting the cop the whole way through, saying he's not like a man, he's more like a mouse, and he's gonna like say he's gonna punish him, he's gonna make an experiment out of him. And after he kills the guy and he's taken away by the police, he leaves a mouse sign in the floor, so we can safely assume he's not finished with the cop. He's probably gonna catch up to him at some point. The police take Robert away in a car, take him straight back to his home and let him out. So something more insidious is going on here. Maybe the whole town is in on it. Considering it's such like a downtrodden area, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like some kind of ancient like society, like a meeting where they just get rid of the population by filtering out all the deadbeats in this butcher's block. So maybe it's like some kind of deal between the Peaches and the police or the government. So yeah, while he's walking back through the park, we get this music again. He's being followed by the cop, and the way everything about him, he's acting is great in this. He just shows this a man. He's not really a man. He's like a shell with something evil inside. He gets to the staircase, but out of all the things he's done, he takes like so much care to wipe his shoes on the bottom of the staircase to not get the place dirty, which shows a lot about his character. Next up, Andre the cat gets eaten in a flashback. I'm so glad that didn't happen for real, because I want to see some more screen time with that little guy, but that was brutal. I don't know what they used to have a chow down on, but it did look like the cat. Alice and Zoe are invited to like a dinner party with the Peaches because they know what's happening and they've seen some weird stuff, so I guess they want answers. And this is something like I said in the last episode about the staircase. I imagine there's going to be some weird dinner party up there, and it turns out there is. So they get to the spot where the house originally was, because apparently it's gone now, it's burnt down or whatever happened to it. And there's just a table in the middle of the woods and the whole family are there, and we get introduced with some characters we've not seen. There's like a mother, there's like a brother-in-law, there's Robert and his wife, and then there's like the dwarf thing on the table, which we don't really have a name for, I don't think yet. And he actually spoke this time, and it had a creepy voice, as you'd imagined, and it had said some prophecies. I can't remember what it actually said, but I should watch that again, because it probably did have a lot of meaning towards what happened in the story. I think it was something to do with bringing back the daughters of Joseph, maybe. So as they're sitting there in the woodlands with the table, the house actually reappears around them. And this is something that I noticed quite a few times through the episode, is that there seemed to be like glitching, like Joseph's face at one point, it just like sort of like looks like smoke. It sort of moves like smoke, and then it happened to the meat at the table, and it happened to the staircase as well. So maybe whatever they're doing with these experiments or the sacrifices, maybe it only has a time limit, which is why they have to keep getting more kids, because it seems like after a certain amount of time they start to fade out, like the house fades out or the characters fade out. So I think it's probably something to do with that. That's why they keep abducting people and killing them, is because they need it to stay relevant. The family give like a little meaning for why they do this, about the population and stuff, and how they kill all the bottom feeders in Butcher's Block. And I've actually laughed out loud on this when Robert just came out with it really bluntly, just said, too bad they taste like shit. It was the way he pronounced it and the seriousness on his face, and it made me laugh so much. That's what they're talking about, change of energy. They keep talking about change of energy, which is sort of like what happens with digestion, like the calories get turned into nutrients and stuff. So I'm assuming that has something to do with like when they kill people, they get changed into something else which helps them stay alive. Perhaps it's the energy of the monster or whatever being is a higher power that's in charge. Now I will say one thing, like the show does kind of try to keep to like more grounded and realism with the characters at least, but I couldn't see that the characters were staying so calm during this dinner scene, especially with like what's happening and the creatures. Alice was just so calm, talking, asking all these questions. You would not be like that in a situation. That's one downside I did have to the episode, but it's not enough to take away from it, because this season so far has been really good. I've really enjoyed both episodes actually. And now this is the scene where we find out about the cure for the schizophrenia, and it turns out that Joseph actually gets like a meat grinder and it puts it into the back of her head, into Alice's head this time around, and shows you how he takes it out. This was the whole, like the tools on the table and the thing, it all reminded me of the game Evil Within for some reason. I'm not sure why, but I really loved the art style and the way they showed this scene. And Joseph was actually a bit more of a three-dimensional character. He was less of just like this creepy guy in the woods. This guy has like remorse, and he's still hurt over the loss of his daughters, and he actually feels like he knows these two girls. He kind of likes the girls because of, he reminds him of his daughters. So maybe we're going to get a little bit more information on Joseph, and hopefully we get some episodes of Joseph before all this happened, as maybe if he was a good guy before all of these murders happened. So he delves into the darkest part of her brain, which happens to be this weird ass version of her head inside the brain, which just looks so ridiculous, but I can't argue with it. I like them just going overboard, and instead of rather just being boring. So they had a weird ass head in there. It looked like a bean with facial features. And we finally get a reveal of what happened with the mother, We're not sure if this is actually what happened. Like I said, with the schizophrenia angle, things could be completely different for what we are seeing. But the mother actually stabs Zoe with, I'm not sure if it's a knife or scissors or something, but that explains why the scissor lady had her face at one point, and she was like bringing back memories because of the trauma from that event. So we know what happened there. So I guess next episode or in the following episodes we're going to find out what actually happened to the mother. Maybe there was something more going on than just the standard schizophrenia. Maybe she was involved with the Peach family at some point. That's a bit of a stretch, but who knows in this series. And the ending of this episode was really awesome visually too. After the dinner party and the whole head thing, we go back to the table. The table still exists in the woods, and instead of all the things on the table being food, there's just rotten meat, limbs, like there's a bloody skeleton there, and an arm of the woman who is Izzy's parents from the house in the first episode. So we know she's dead. We don't know about Izzy yet. So great way to end the episode, and I actually enjoyed this episode a lot more than the first one. There's 4 more to go, so hopefully it doesn't let me down. We've got lots of different theories and lots of different questions we want answering from now on. Let me know your theories about any of the things I brought up in this video, or if there's any theories that you have that I've not touched upon, then let me know. Anyways, thanks for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If this is your first time checking out the channel, then go ahead and hit that subscribe, and check out the rest of my content to see if there's anything you might enjoy. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you with episode 3 next week.